So I first played Dishonored a few years back and did a video on it, which people are still coming back to, and the game is still popular in that sense, 14 years after coming out. But is it actually worth the time? Well, here's the updated video for that, and this is Dishonored in 2026. This is also the definitive version, so technically not the 14-year-old one, but all it really did was slightly improve the graphics and the performance, which is of course a positive thing. And I definitely recommend choosing this one over the base version if you were to buy it, but let's see first. So in the first video, I of course went over what the game is about and the overall plot, which I'll do again for anyone that doesn't know, and that's probably the majority of you watching, so I guess I will repeat myself as this will more or less be the same. So the game is set in Dunwall, and it's a city that's been spread with the rat plague, taking place in the year 1837, and the main protagonist Corvo has the role of being the Empress's bodyguard. And very early on in the game, that Empress is actually assassinated by a mysterious group of ghostly assassins. However, they also end up kidnapping the Empress's daughter, Emily. The scene is left with Corvo and the Empress dead, with Emily also missing. Not only is that a big deal by itself, but what really creates a turning point is that the fact that Corvo is wrongly accused of the murder by the city, and he does look quite suspicious. He's now seen as a big threat to the city for something he didn't do, therefore he's now known as an assassin. And this event does change him, and he starts becoming stronger, I guess you could say, in this new role, unlocking supernatural abilities to help him along the way. And the main goal is to pretty much seek redemption after these accusations, but also solve the mystery of these assassins. Both aspects are an important part of the game that help shape the story, such as you eventually uncovering the group and who actually killed the Empress, happening a lot later on, which I won't spoil of course. And after the accused actions, he's put in jail for 6 months. However, he is given help to escape by an outsider, and because they know that he will actually do good for the city and stop these people, that's why they do it. So the story and the plot itself are quite good, and they do have some cool twist moments, I guess. In terms of the overall depth of it, I guess, you know, I didn't really expect anything like really meaningful. To me personally, the characters themselves, they aren't all that exciting in terms of development over time and just their persona. Of course, the protagonist is also mute, which isn't always a bad thing, depending on how the game plays out, but I don't know, in this one it just seems like a bit of a disadvantage to have that. It's more just, it just serves as a back plot for the gameplay and just a foundation for it. It's the same in other titles like Ghost Recon and Doom, for example. For me, it's the gameplay and the missions of this game that make it. When I first played this, I had no idea what to expect. It had this whole whale punk theme to it, so it played out a lot darker and was more realistic, I guess. But the gameplay is so fun and the world is so unique. The art style is definitely what makes it, which I'll talk more about. In terms of like combat and movement, it never becomes boring. The gameplay has a way more exaggerated feel to it compared to like the Assassin's Creed games, I guess. But overall, it's going to be somewhat similar because of the meaning of, you know, you assassinate people. The movement and the amount of upgrades and customization and new abilities you can add to your character are amazing. It's what really makes the game so flexible in terms of how you want to go about the missions. And just like the black box missions in Hitman, for example, you have all this freedom to take down a target in many different ways. But in Dishonored, I felt you could get way more creative with it, especially with the supernatural abilities. It has the assassination aspect, as I said, of Assassin's Creed, but I say it follows more of a Hitman style, and that approach of it in its own unique way. It can't be compared similarly to those games, so it's quite hard to say. A big difference is the fact that it's first person as well, and like the super dash ability, for example, it makes the game feel so fast at some points, and the movement is just so immersive when taking down enemies or just moving around. You can perform jump down assassinations, choke takedowns, and more. It's always fun, you know, choosing different ways to take down guards, either silently or loud, and that really is the freedom of the game. I'd recommend testing out stealth and trying to perform a clean sweep of an area. I'd test out all the different ways to enter and traverse through areas because there's so many ones. Various entrances and shortcuts and underground areas, or even high up ledges and even more areas after that that you can get with your unlocks. There's tons of speedrun videos on the game, and the amount of ways you can complete a mission in a quick time is crazy. Going out loud and guns blazing beginning is of course where the action really kicks off and allows you to enter a whole new side of gameplay that's probably even better. There's a lot more to do. There's also a great set of takedown animations and moves which make the gameplay look and feel more interesting. Most of the time it's when you catch an enemy off guard, whether that be sneaking up behind them or dashing towards them quickly, or even like powering their attacks so they lose balance. The animations in the sword fights are smooth and they're clean, nothing incredible, but they do have that great brutal effect to them. And going loud also allows you to implement more tools and weapons, although they're great for stealth as well. Bows can poison or sleep enemies, allowing you to get past them. The same goes for distracting them with various objects you can throw, and you can switch out the ammo types, which is quite cool. You always had your sword in the right hand, but all the tools and gadgets can be switched out in the left hand, all working well with the melee weapon, like shooting and then following up with a melee attack. So the overall gameplay feels so smooth to play and still doesn't become boring, unless you were to stick to one method each time. Just like the Ghost Recon games, for example, the gameplay is up to you and how you want to go about it. All the options are there for you to switch up the playstyle and just be free with it, making the replayability a big part. More tools can be used like traps and mines, which improve stealth. As I mentioned before, the power-ups and the abilities add on to this. There's a selection which you can buy with the runes, which pretty much act as skill points around the map. The heart item helps by indicating how close they are. Many powers even have more levels once you unlock them, making them better. There's Blink, for example, which I found myself using quite a lot. It pretty much allows you to teleport far distances, helping with traversing the area quickly and getting out of people's way. There's also Vitality, which increases health and makes you more resistant. Agility does increase your speed and allows you to double jump. And that mixture with Blink is so good for movement. You know, you can bend time and stuff. There's so much. There's also extra boosts underlying those bigger upgrades, unlocked by collecting bone charms. The gameplay also links in with the story a bit, just like with high and low honor in Red Dead. Your decisions affect how the game ends, and this makes the story way more interesting depending on how much you care about it. It also makes you think about how you should play, but again, as I said, if you want the more action elements to it, you'll most likely end up with the ending made for more ruthless players. It's still incredible visually, there's such an attention to detail and that whale punk style I love. Therefore it is a more animated look, so it isn't going for realism. The textures on people and objects follow that oil painting style, so it's so natural and not perfectly smooth, and the setting follows that mix of retro industrial steampunk with it, but then also powered by whale oil, which is, you know, rather than coal, so that whale punk is what it is, and that's just a subgenre of steampunk. And overall it just has a unique look to the game. I haven't seen many single player games similar to this in terms of their art style, and that less like realistic look they went with also ties in with the type of gameplay it is and how exaggerated and fun it is. They just go together so well. And I think that's where I end my review of Dishonored in 2026. I definitely recommend this game, you know, even now, which is crazy that it's that old, but it still hasn't gone down at all, and it's aged really well. So if you did enjoy it, then let me know by tapping that like button down below, and if you enjoy single player and also multiplayer games as well, then that's what this channel does focus on. I have many playlists on a selection of games. If you want to support me any further, then you can become a member of the channel at either level 1 or 2. And if there's anyone out there that drinks G Fuel, you can now use my code CALZY on the website to get either a 10% or a 30% off, depending on when it is, off of your order. And that was Dishonored in 2026, and bye bye.